Get him out of here.
How does that not indicate to you, like, hey, sometimes, like, these prospects are awesome?
Donald, get back. They snatched that chain, boy. Get back. What's all gonna do about it? Popeye snatched that chain. Get back. We want that snack wrap. They got 3 flavors. Y'all got 1. Get back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. Guys, we have so much to talk about today. If you're watching this on the Rock, it's Tuesday, but we're recording this Monday, coming off of the weekend. So much to talk about. Honestly, the Cavaliers, more than that, the NBA in general has been nuts as of late. The Guardians' offense is absolutely garbage, fellas. And LeBron James opting into his player option. We're going to have fun and talk about it because we like to have fun here. That's what we do, so don't cry about it. Jack, Nick, Rob, how we doing today?
Man, packed weekend. Obviously, they always are. It's so funny to me, and we've talked about this on the show before. Like, people look at this time of the year and they say, like, slow time the sports calendar. It's really not. There's really no such thing as a slow time the sports calendar when you live in a city like this. And you've got 3 major sports teams plus show like this where you could, talk a little bit of what's happening nationally. So Cavs stayed busy, guards were the opposite of busy, and the NBA was on one really all weekend.
Jack, what's up, dude?
I'm really pissed off about baseball.
Oh, already?
Yeah. Skip me.
All right, Rob, what's up, dude?
Hey, guys, my rec league basketball team got back in the winning column.
Double-double?
Calm double-double, bro. That's light. Needed a triple-double, not enough assists.
Can you dish the rock? Are you a facilitator, too?
I could do anything.
Who's your player comp in rec ball? I want to hear Nick's as well.
Jinx.
In rec ball?
Yeah, player comp.
Rec ball, it's like gassed up low key, but I would say I play like Bam Adebayo low key, like a super realistic comp to even when I was playing in college still.
That's pretty valid.
Depends. I've played on some really bad rec league teams where they just need somebody to go out there and get a bucket. We've talked about this before, so I've done like the Jordan Clarkson, like fill up the stat sheet on a bad team type thing.
Rec league, I'm like Anthony Davis though. I get boosted, so just upgrade it a little bit, just a little more glaze.
Ryan, who's your player comp?
My player comp, I'm like a mix of I'm nowhere. Well, I'm not athletic. I'm athletic, decently, but I'm not gonna wow you. Like I can't jump out of the gym or anything. I would say I'm like a really nerfed Jokic.
Okay.
Like really, really nerfed Jokic. But my mid range is like Dirk's. It's absolute butter.
Yeah, he's one leg fade.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
kind
is.
of guy.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack?
Player comp?
Let's hear it.
In the sport of basketball?
Dellavedova?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's got to be like Pat Bev, probably.
Pat Bev?
That's
solid.
I just lock in, play really. Actually, no, because he plays good defense. Someone who has 0 tools. K. Felder.
Yo!
That felt like
K.
a shot.
Felder was
No offense to K.
low-key
Felder.
K. Felder,
nice.
if you were watching, that was blatant disrespect.
K. Felder, on me.
That is on you. That's crazy. Well, let's talk some ball.
We love you, K.
News broke the Cleveland Cavaliers are parting ways with fan favorite to some, Isaac Okoro. He gets traded to Chicago Bulls straight up for Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball just 27, averaged 7.6 points, 3.4 rebounds, 3.3 assists per game. This season, guys, he's missed 2 full seasons due to his knee issues. Last year, played just 35 games. This is a high upside trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, the defense is there for Lonzo Ball. The athleticism is there. But the question is, will he stay healthy, and how will you have to ease him into this offense given those injuries?
Yeah, this is about to be the most anticipated physical in the history of Cleveland Clinic courts, man, because Lonzo Ball has had everything wrong with him throughout his NBA career, and it's been a career that has certainly been not derailed, but definitely challenged by injuries. And for the Cavs making this deal, it allows them to get out of the Isaac Okoro contract extension, which is the most important thing. So in a world where Lonzo Ball isn't very good on the court, which I actually have a hard time seeing happening, I like Lonzo Ball from a fit perspective, but if he's not healthy, the Cavs will be able to cut bait, get out from underneath that Isaac Okoro contract. So this does feel like a very big win. Defensively, Lonzo Ball to Isaac Okoro, pretty similar. Lonzo's a really good defender, and then he definitely has a lot more offensive upside. Again, when healthy is the biggest thing with that.
I really like the pickup. One of the main problems we had last season that I would talk a lot with my dad about when I watched the games is when Darius Garland was not on the floor, there was no consistent facilitating. Everyone was trying to get theirs. Ty Jerome, your made guard off the bench, is a great scorer, but can't really get everyone else involved. That led to a lot of stagnant play, people not getting into their grooves. Lonzo Ball won't let that happen at all. He can help pick up the pace of play, loves to share the rock, can space the floor if you want to play him some with the main guys. He doesn't have to have the ball. He could go sit in the corner and then play great defense for you on the other end. Like everyone else is saying, of course, it's just going to come down to health. Are his knees okay? He played the rest of the season out pretty well at the end of the year last year. It was some crazy surgery he had. He got like a child's meniscus, I believe, put into his knee. Like they completely replaced all his cartilage or something.
That sentence is nuts.
That's just what they could do now. But I think he's a winning player. He won a lot leading up to his time in the NBA. I think he does the dirty work. Someone I would love to have on my team.
Jack, this feels like a move you'd absolutely love.
Yeah, no, I love the Ball family, first of all, so I just like to start there. But I saw a really interesting comparison for maybe a hope of what Lonzo Ball could be. You know, not an original thought, but Sean Livingston would be kind of cool for Lonzo Ball, a guy who kind of second half of his career, bigger guard, comes out, plays great defense, can lead a second unit behind like a star point guard. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And also, I'm a massive LeVar Ball fan. So, I mean, yeah, man, I can't get much happier than
I
this.
don't know. There may be a world, though, where the Cavs are maybe just pivoting at the point guard position. Maybe Lonzo isn't meant to come off the bench, but that depends on some stuff they do in terms of other players.
I think they would maybe, too, it's like by drafting Proctor, giving him the NBA contract, Merrill gets the really big contract I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute.
Like, guard?
We already got a lot of stuff going on at guard.
Are we going to move someone?
I mean, you saw that Darius Garland was mentioned by name in the trade package for Kevin Durant.
Is he unhappy?
Gotta be. I mean, have you ever been happy when your name's put in a trade conversation before?
I don't know. I was on record saying that if I was in a trade and the other team was getting back Kevin Durant and 2 first-round picks, I feel like you kind of got to say, well, what can you do, bro? I mean, that would have been a great trade for the Cavs. At some point, you got to have some humility, but obviously it doesn't make you feel good at all. So, but if he's in a trade for LeBron, am I going to be saying the same thing? Yeah, I'm going to be saying pull the trigger.
Nick, you mentioned the contract situations between these two players. Lonzo Ball is set to make $10 million this year, but his salary is not guaranteed the 26-27 season. Meanwhile, Okoro makes $11 million this year. His $11.8 million is guaranteed for the 26-27 season. Do we all view this as an upgrade?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
No way about it.
He physically does everything else better, and they're probably about equal defenders. So, yeah, you're getting just an upgrade.
And I'm a big and I was a big Okoro fan. I do want to say, you know, like this kind of stinks a little bit because he was top 5 NBA draft pick, you know, a guy that the Cavs obviously thought could evolve into being a much better offensive player than he became. And I think this was, you know, just the waving of the white flag. Like JB Bickerstaff couldn't trust him in a playoff rotation. Kenny Atkinson couldn't trust him in a playoff rotation as a lottery pick. You know, more than 5 years ago, you got to have some sort of breakthrough. And I just think the Cavs realized that the offensive side it was never going to develop for Isaac.
I think it's also really important to note, too, you guys both talked about it at length on the show on Friday out at Fairway Forward, is the fact that this is going to help Jalen Tyson a ton, too. Just in terms of, like, seeing what this kid has to do and play with. Like, it makes total sense to move on from Okoro. He's a black hole offensively. You already have Struz, Hunter, and Tyson. Like, you got no need for him.
Well, an internal move the Cavaliers made as well. It's not official yet, of course, but Sam Merrill intends to sign a 4-year, $38 million contract to stay in Cleveland last year. His second full-time campaign with the Cavs averaged 7.2 points, 40.6% from beyond the arc, from the field, 37.2% from beyond the arc, playing a career-high 19.7 minutes, highest paid ever, 60th overall pick in the NBA.
I don't know. I still think slight overpay. I like what Sam Merrill does for the team. I won't go too deep into percentages because he does take a lot of threes. It's hard to shoot 40 when you're shooting like 5 or 6 a game.
Let me ask you this, Rob. Underrated defense, yes or no, for Sam Merrill?
I mean, he tries really hard, but that's what everyone in the NBA should do unless you're like that guy offensively. And he's not like he needs to be 3-and-D, but he doesn't really have the capabilities. So if that's the best shooter we can get, sure. But I think we did overpay a little bit. I don't know if anyone would have came after Sam Merrill that hard, willing to offer $40 million.
I will say I like that it's under 10 a year, though. It's still a movable contract. At the end of the day, if they find somebody that really wanted him that bad, you could still trade the Sam Merrill contract. It does kind of lead me to believe, though, like between the Merrill extension, the Lonzo Ball trade, the drafting of Tyrese Proctor,
going in a different direction.
Is there
of some
something
sort.
else coming up? And maybe this is just they understand how much Ty Jerome meant to their success throughout the regular season. It was horrible in the postseason, but during the regular season, Ty Jerome in the 17, 18 minutes a night that he played, he was really good and he made a big impact. So maybe this is them trying to go by committee to replace how impactful Ty Jerome was to them winning 60-some games.
But at the same time, he was saying he was willing to take a discount, so they had the option to bring him back, and I feel like they chose not to. So what are they? I need the other shoe to drop on all the moves they're making this offseason.
Especially because, like, in terms of the money and when it really starts to clear out is in 2 years is when you're going to need a ton of money for extension. So I don't know. Do you guys know did Merrill have to get 4 years? Like, is that anything off of his first deal where like the length is required? Oh, it is. Okay. Because I was going to say like going with him until he's 32, like that's a little bit risky. I mean, I guess shooting doesn't go away, but for someone who's naturally not a great defender, not very athletic, as you said, in terms of defending, like it's kind of tough going until he's 32.
All right, let's take our first break. When we get back, LeBron James opting into his $52.6 million player option. He will not be joining free agency, although let's be real, it's basically still free agency for LeBron with a no free trade clause. All right, let's take a break, and we'll talk about that when we get back on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back into The Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack Rourke, Nick Pannone, Rob Watson. Got to tell you about our great friends at Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford, Ohio is the biggest Ford truck dealership in the entire state. Largest selection of Ford F-150s and F-150s, and Super Duty trucks. You can see right up there employee pricing for everybody. You pay less than what they pay. Pre-tariff pricing on all Fords. Over 500 vehicles on their lot. We had the opportunity to do a live show there Friday. They are not joking. Their lot is absolutely massive. There's never been a better time to buy. Don't let that short drive to Canfield prevent you from saving literally thousands of dollars on your new ride. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing and same hometown level of service. Again, that's fairwayfordohio.com or scan that QR code now. Guys, we had an absolute blast at Fairway Ford on Friday. We got a ride in a white Bronco. Shout out to Jack who's whipping that thing. The lot is massive and just such nice people over there.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun. Something tells me we'll be back out there. It's cool that, they're kind of into the content game as well, so they really let us turn loose on the lot and have a little bit of fun. It was a good time.
Jack, we finally got to meet Mike Mondays.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I've gotten to do a lot of really cool things since I've been lucky enough to start working at Big Play. I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people. Mike, right up there in that top ilk of people I've gotten to meet.
We got to get him in the studio at Burke eventually. All right, guys, we're continuing to talk ball here. LeBron James, the biggest news of the weekend, I should really say, opting into his player option according to Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, exercising that $52.6 million player option. So LeBron will be playing for the Lakers next season. Could we see a trade at the deadline or before that? I guess it's possible, but all we know is LeBron James is going to start the season as a Los Angeles Laker, and he will forego free agency.
So to explain, to the people, I feel like there is a lot of, if he's kind of exploring free agency, why did he pick up listen, I don't care if you got $10. I don't care if you got $1 billion. I don't care if you got $10 billion. If sitting in front of you is $52 million, you're probably going to pick it up. So LeBron picked up $52.6 million. And Ryan, to your point, he has a no trade clause. So really, in a world, LeBron owns his own destiny, as he always does, but he could dictate where he will play and guarantee himself $52.6 million along the way. Pretty good deal. That's how business is done when you turn 40 years old in the NBA and you've accomplished everything that there is to accomplish. You have the luxury of pulling these kind of strings. So now I think LeBron is going to bleed this a little bit, guys. I truly think he's going to take a look at what the Los Angeles Lakers do during this upcoming free agency period over the next couple of days, starting this week, to really evaluate and get a grasp on, is this a team that he has a chance to contend for an NBA championship this year? We saw the Lakers make the playoffs. That was a team that was kind of thrown together in the 11th hour when they traded for Luka Doncic. So now it's up to LeBron to figure out if that's a location where he wants to go, or if he wants to try to orchestrate a trade in the coming weeks, is something that would certainly still be feasible.
Couple things. Obviously, as Nick said, you're going to take the money. I think he also is aware that he probably wasn't going to get that money if he entered free agency. He was probably going to be on likely a cut of some sort. So, of course, you're going to take the money. And interestingly, someone put this note on the show sheet today. It's the first time he's opted into that final year player option that he likes to put on his contract. So I think that's one thing that shows I think LeBron's really at the end. I think it's 1 to 2 more years max, and he's really trying to get that last ring, get up to 5, get one closer to Jordan. But I honestly think he kind of wants out of LA. I think the relationship with Pelinka isn't what it's just not there. He built a great team at first and then tore it all down, and it's been rough ever since. Sends his boy Anthony Davis out while Luka's a great player. You know, that's LeBron's boy. People say GM, he wanted him out. I don't know if he wanted that move to be made. And I think he's going to really look around, but I think it's a move to the East for sure, because if he wants to get to the finals, it'll be way easier in the Eastern Conference. And I think that the best spot could be the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I mean, Rob, you look at these quotes, stunning, honestly, because typically when the greatest player of all time picks up their player option, usually a celebration, you know, usually kind of a blip in the news. LeBron's back with the Lakers. And the storyline should be, is this the farewell tour in LA? But now the headline, because of these quotes, and I'm going to read them here for you, are, could LeBron really have his eye and 1 foot out the door? LeBron wants to compete for a championship, his agent Rich Paul told ESPN. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers a critical part of his career. He goes on to say, we understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive, and want what's best for him. Those quotes don't scream to me a guy that's uber committed to staying in LA, to riding this thing out with the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron's telling you he's still in championship mode. Sounds like he wants one more title, and he has his doubts that that's going to happen in LA with the Lakers.
Because truthfully, it hasn't. Other than the first early run, they were one of the great teams going in, and then COVID shuts it down. They win in the bubble. The next year, they're doing very good again. He gets one of his first major injuries in his career that kind of dampers. It's the first time we're seeing LeBron not look like the Terminator out there. And ever since, it's just been confusing move after fumble after addition that just doesn't work at all, from the Dennis Schroeder situations to the Russell Westbrooks. They had all these old guys coming in. Carmelo Anthony was out there at some point. There's been a lot that's been going on, but it's been a long time since we've looked at the Lakers as true contenders. And I think LeBron, now knowing that he's not as much of a superhero and Superman that he is, that he could just make them that team by just simply being LeBron, I think it's his time to move on and go somewhere else.
All right, let me put my conspiracy hat on for a second, guys. We kind of talked about off camera, LeBron, if he's to move, we think obviously the East would be a great place to move, considering all the superstars in the West and what we expect to be a wide open East. We talked about potentially the New York Knicks being another suitor. I don't know the contract stuff. I would assume it might be a little easier for them to move the parts and whatnot to make it happen to go to the Knicks. But my question is to you: if he does go to the Knicks, could this possibly be why we haven't seen any news really regarding the Knicks' open head coach position?
Good conspiracy. I mean, that shot all of us up here up.
Yeah.
That's a good
I kind of
conspiracy.
just thought about that when we were talking about the Knicks.
Because Look Coach needs his personal
I don't know if
coach,
he's vibing with Don Staley necessarily.
Well, no comment on that. But LeBron, to wherever he goes, it's obviously going to start to be set up and situated for him. He'll be a part of the decisions. Player construction, roster construction, head coaching, and coaching staff positions. Probably bring some of his guys, but if the Knicks are waiting and trying to make that move, I would definitely wait. Or I would be going and asking LeBron, what head coach do you like? And I'd just be going and hiring him now instead of waiting until he gets in the building.
I will say as well, I think there's an element of, if there's any truth in that, and I saw that there was some stuff of LeBron had said like that he enjoys the city of New York, like on some Instagram stories and stuff this past week. If there's any truth to that, Kobe Altman's got to act fast here, because this Eastern Conference is wide open. It's the good news, right? You've got no Tatum. You've got no Halliburton. We've talked about that at length. It would be a little trickier for the Cavs to get LeBron in Cleveland. We've talked about that with some of the second apron restrictions. You can't aggregate salaries, meaning that it has to be a one-for-one trade for LeBron James unless there's a third team involved. There would need to be a little bit of salary cap gymnastics that need to happen. But the one thing that you can't do is you can't let him go to New York.
They roll through the East if this is the case.
The Knicks, you could make the argument, really, nationally, there's an argument to be made. Are the Knicks currently constructed better suited for the playoffs than the Cavs?
I mean,
with LeBron James on the roster, they're certainly better constructed than the Cavs. And then your championship window that you think is open because you want to run it back with the core four that hasn't been able to get out of the second round starts to look a little bit more closed.
The Knicks made it further than us this year, and let's not forget we had our problems with them. Like I said this year, I don't want to see any of the current roster playing in New York. I wouldn't be comfortable in a playoff game in Madison Square Garden. You have LeBron into the mix. That's just, you could wrap it up now, but I mean, the Knicks' biggest competition, the team that's eliminated them the last 2 years, will be a non-factor next year. So arguably you could say they are the favorites right now in the East. But yeah, if it's a arms race to see who gets LeBron first, our front office needs to get on that now.
I feel like they already have no bench though. What would they give up to get LeBron?
They would just give up one of Anunoby, Bridges. Anyone.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to, and they'd probably have to work a third team as well. Like the fit. I'll try to tell people this again as well too, because there's a segment of people, and it's a large segment of people out there that are trying to stop this LeBron to Cleveland thing from happening because of the second apron. Stop using the second apron as a shield to be scared of improving this roster. The Boston Celtics were able to get themselves under the second apron within 12 hours. They made 3 or 4 moves in a 12-hour window, and they were able to fly right under that thing. You're able to make moves to elude it, and then once you elude it, it becomes a lot easier to start making big-time trades that could impact the roster for the better. We're in this time now, in this space now with this basketball team where you should be operating on Donovan Mitchell's timeline. You gave up a significant amount of young players and draft capital to win a championship with Donovan. When he signed that extension, it made that even more true. You're going into year 2 of the extension. It was only a 3-year extension. Next year doesn't go your way. We're having a very uncomfortable conversation. Come this time, come late June, early July 2026, I don't want to be having that conversation, man. I would try to get him a little bit of bona fide help. We know because of the Kevin Durant rumors that Kobe Altman isn't as lovey-dovey with this core 4 as we thought that he was. I wonder if right now, as we're recording this show, there's some conversations happening trying to figure out if this is a location where LeBron would be willing to waive that no trade clause. And that's a big if. But if that's indeed the case, are the Cavs willing to put the chips on the table and try to figure some things out?
I'm also looking at New York's numbers right now. They have $11 million in apron space, and they're paying guys like OG Anunoby $40 million. So they would easily be able to maybe work one guy out in a third team deal, and then that would cover the space between him and LeBron's contracts.
Can't even imagine the emotions that will come in this town if we see LeBron James go to the New York Knicks. We got to take another break, but we're not done talking basketball yet. Next, we're talking about Malik Beasley, who's about to get a bag, probably from Detroit Pistons, but now that might not be the case as he's under investigation on allegations of gambling related to NBA games and prop bets. We'll talk about that when we get back on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. We're continuing to talk ball, but before we do, I got to tell you about our friends at Garage Beer. Garage Beer comes in just 2 flavors, Classic Light Lager, as well as that Classic Lime you see right up there. Beautiful in that ice. Guys, it's beer-flavored beer just the way you want it to taste. No frills, no bitterness, none of that IPA taste. Find local retailers who sell Garage Beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com or scan that QR code now. Again, that's drinkgaragebeer.com. If LeBron James goes to the New York Knicks, guys, I got a feeling we're going to need a lot of Garage Beer to stomach that. But right now we're talking about Malik Beasley, who was about to get a bag after having one of his best seasons of his career. Although that might not be the case anymore, as he's now investigated on allegations of gambling related to NBA games and prop bets, sources told ESPN. Guys, these allegations are from the 2023-2024 season when Beasley played for the Milwaukee Bucks, not this last season. Beasley last year averaged 11.3 points in 79 games that season, during which he made a career-high 77 starts. This seems like a theme that is continuing, and it probably isn't going to end anytime soon. We saw Jonte Porter get a lifetime ban from the NBA. We saw Terry Rozier a few months ago under investigation for the same thing. I'm not sure anything came out of that. But there's some pretty damning videos of Malik Beasley kind of looking like he's not giving it all on the court. People are digging up old tweets saying Anthony Davis needs to make 7 threes. A little fishy stuff here, but it's official. He's now under investigation by the NBA.
Innocent till proven guilty. Biggest thing here, until proven guilty and until the investigation is officially wrapped up, we can't assume. However, I think it's a little noteworthy that this got out. I think it's noteworthy that this got out because I don't think the district attorney's office is just leaking news because they started the investigation. Something tells me that they might have something substantial on this guy, especially we hear that the Pistons have stopped their contract renewal conversations with Malik Beasley. This is, an unfortunate thing that is going to continue to happen. And I see a lot of people that were like, well, the league with their partnerships and everything's presented by any of these sportsbook operators.
Those people are idiots.
The one thing about this is this is something that's happened for a really long time. This is something that's happened since the time of illegal offshore bookies. And it's because of the sanctioned bodies that, that we have that you're able to get information and intel from the sports books themselves on who's doing illegal things. So this is unfortunate. Obviously, the integrity of the sport comes into play when you have headlines like this. But again, it seems like they're at least few and far between Jonte Porter, that was like 2 years ago, Malik Beasley now, and hopefully this doesn't become a bigger trend as time continues on.
So like you said, I'm going with the innocent until proven guilty. Now there's if you dig up any videos of a lot of NBA players and you frame it to some gambling allegations and it's some Shaq'd in a fool moments, you could say a lot of people are out there fixing games. We'll never know. Terry Rozier, I don't think anything came out of that. I seen the video. I wish I sent this TikTok to you guys before the show. I just put it in the group chat. You can watch it after. The game in question, the bet for the money, it lost. He covered it in the first half. So the dude took under on his rebounds.
Yeah, that was on January 31st, 2024.
He gets 3 boards in the first half. It does look a little suspicious. He goes after the first 2 really supernaturally, but the last one kind of bounces to him and he fumbles it a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
He's thinking about dropping, but there's no one around him. If he drops his ball and lets it roll out of bounds, it would look insane. So if this is a scenario where they could dig up some other bets that have happened and then we could go analyze those games. As far as that one, they lost whoever put that money on him. So I don't know if you could use that as incrimination towards him, but I just want to argue against using people's, airhead moments. Like Otto Porter back in the day used to just stand there on defense while his dude ran to the other side of the court. Sometimes these dudes play a lot of games. It's a lot of mental fortitude. You got to be locked in so much. It's going to be lapses. I don't want to think every time someone travels or throws the ball out of bounds that they're fixing a game.
This is interesting because the Jonte Porter one, we talk about,
why
do these athletes do this when you have wealth on the table? Jonte Porter's one thing. He probably was never going to get a good contract. Call for what it is. He wasn't a great player in the NBA. Meanwhile, Malik Beasley coming off a fantastic season.
And we came to learn that Jonte Porter was part of a bigger ring.
Yeah.
That was a gambling ring.
That was an actual big rig.
Yeah. Those were unexcusable, and I was watching him on court react to against his team when people were shooting the threes or when he accidentally banked in a shot. He was throwing his hands up in the air. But to your point, I don't think Malik Beasley has a reason to do this. You're not going to make X amount of money without looking suspicious compared to what you're making in the NBA. So
I was shocked when I read this, and I'm assuming people, why would you lie? But about these stats, you can easily look it up. Beasley averaged 16.3 points per game this past season while playing a career-high 82 games. He hit 319 three-pointers last season, which ranked second most in the NBA behind Anthony Edwards, who hit 320. And Beasley shot a career-high 42% and became just the third player in NBA history to make 300 threes while shooting at least 40% from deep.
He had a great year last
Why is
year.
he messing with this stuff, though?
He was in line. He was in line for a bag this year.
And again, remember,
He was a vet culture guy in
the
Detroit.
time
Yeah.
period that they're investigating, these were before he had this amazing season. So maybe had he known he was going to come out and ball out, and again, these are all allegations. I don't know what the case is, but it's interesting because this is a little bit different from Jonte Porter.
Oh, so you think maybe he thought he was on a Jonte Porter type of career arc,
didn't
but
bet
then,
on
then
himself.
he locked
He
in
did.
a little
Then
bit.
he locked
Okay.
in.
He kind of took a cut in Detroit this year and like really performed as someone who was kind of like a chance, and he had an amazing season. But even when he was in Milwaukee, though, he's on a playoff team, so I just don't see him fixing games. Like that spotlight's way too bright, though. I don't.
All right, we got to take another break. When we get back, we're done talking basketball. We got to flip it over to our Cleveland Guardians, who are struggling right now. They got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll talk about what the rest of their season may look like when we get back on the Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big
better be
Factor
really
here
good
on the
at
Big
basketball.
Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Pannone, Rob Watson. I'm sweating over here, guys.
It's hot.
Yeah, it is.
It's hot.
Yeah, it is, fellas.
Man,
Well,
this
speaking of something
lock
that's
in.
Burke
not
Lakefront
hot.
Airport, the complete opposite of the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, seriously. The Cleveland
10
Guardians are
miles.
ice cold right now, guys. They get swept by the St. Louis Cardinals. They're now 40-42, under 500 for the first time since early April. June has not been a pleasant month for our Cleveland Guardians. Just 9-16. That's the second worst record this month in baseball. They're 7th in team ERA in June. That .360 winning percentage in June. That's the worst winning percentage by a Cleveland team over a full month of 24-plus games since August of 2012. I wish there was an easy answer to say what the Guardians can do at this point. People will point to call up these young kids, Delauder, Kafis. I don't know if it's that simple. Maybe it could be. I don't know. Jack, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the Cardinals series. Let's start there before we go into what the Guardians can do to right this ship.
My thoughts on the Cardinals series, they didn't hit, so there's that to start with. But I don't know, we talked about it at
Are you still
Fairway
you were drinking
Ford.
the Kool-Aid at one point?
What?
Bro. Are we officially putting the Kool-Aid down?
we're not putting the Kool-Aid down, we're putting the Kool-Aid on hold.
That's not what he was saying on break, guys.
No, we're not. We can't go out public. No, we're not out on this team yet. We're not out on this team yet. Nope. We're not getting rid of this team. They're fine, guys. But no, man. I mean, we talked about it on Friday. Like the fact, like this
Got him
was
on
a
payroll.
must-win series. Like coming off of Jose getting hit, no one really doing anything about it. Just so much nothingness for the last like 2.5 weeks. You have to come out and find a way to at least win one ball game at home. We were talking about 2 out of 3. Just anything to really right the ship. Nothing outside of the 6th inning on Saturday, I believe it was. Like that's just it's embarrassing. I mean, it's terrible. Outside of that one inning, I believe we were like 9 for 114 in the series. Like just. It's atrocious. And like you said, yeah, I mean, the worst winning percentage in a month since August of 2012. August of 2012 was the last full month of Manny Acta before he got fired as the manager, before
Wow.
Terry Francona took over. Like that, I'm not saying anything about Stephen Vogt, but I'm just telling you, if you want to go to the lowest of lows of to where this team truly is right now, you're looking at a Manny Acta coach baseball team who you have to beg your dad to go watch Shin-Soo Choo play. You know, like that's about where we're sitting with this team right now. But yeah, I mean, Ryan, it sucks because yes, I want to see Delauder. Yes, I want to see Kafis. Yes, we're probably going to see Juan Brito now, even in a couple of weeks with Gabriel Arias going down here. Like the prof is coming back, so yeah, school's in session. That's cool for Rocchio. But I mean, we're we're in trouble, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in a load of trouble.
Why are we talking about this? You know, like we're officially reaching the point of the season where the Guardians are here to bridge the gap to Brown season. People hate when I say that, but that's officially the territory that we're starting to reach. I know that you're just a couple games under 500 now. You could still hold on to some sort of false hope that you could claim one of these last wild card spots.
They still could.
Zach Meisel did a phenomenal job. I implore people to go check out The Athletic Cleveland. Zach Meisel did a really good job just explaining some of the incompetence that's happening inside of the organization right now. They're truly out of excuses in terms of calling up some of these young pups. It's no longer a question of service time manipulation, being a smart, responsible organization. Meisel is told that the Guardians developmental staff has signed off on Chase DeLauder being promoted to Cleveland. This is just a simple case of stubbornness, that they have a plan outlined for this guy and they are strictly refusing to deviate off of that plan. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like you, Ryan. I'm not expecting a 23-year-old outfielder to come in here and flip the entire lineup on its head, but this is starting to look bleak.
Over or under half a run scored in the first game in Chicago? Talk to me, because I've seen 0 in like 4 of the last 5. Talk to me. Over under half a run. And if I bump it to 1.5, you're cooked. So
yeah,
I'm trying to make it easy.
Can't go there. The one thing, Nick, I read that great article. The one thing about DeLauder, though, I didn't even realize, is not played 3 games in a row yet this year. So that is one interesting thing to monitor, but I think it's still time you got to call the kid up. I mean, Brian Rocchio, presumably, if we want to play Where in the World is Brian Rocchio, is on a bus, as Nick mentioned earlier, from Des Moines, Iowa, on a straight shot to Wrigley Field right now because he's been playing some baseball with this team now. I'm surprised one of those guys isn't going to be there with him, but you got to think DeLauder by July 4th, right?
All right. No, I messed up. Jack, we got to take a break because when we get back, we got a little breaking news. And as well as Jake Paul ranked. We'll talk about that when we get back on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan, Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. We got a little bit of breaking news in the NFL. Remember, if you're watching this on The Rock, of course, everybody in the national media has already been talking about this, so it's a day old. But right now, it's pretty damn new to us, guys. Jalen Ramsey is officially joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Miami Dolphins have agreed to trade the 3-time All-Pro cornerback. Part of the trade, Ramsey will get a $1.5 million raise this season. That brings his 2025 compensation up to $26.6 million. Steelers get their man, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey's still one of the best corners in the NFL, guys. I don't think nearly as good as he used to be, of course, but then again, that comes with age. Steelers, this is a sign potentially going for it. You signed Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You made the trade for DK Metcalf. Of course, you depart with Pickens, but now you bring in Jalen Ramsey. You saw the Ravens just a couple days ago acquire Jair Alexander. Boy, the AFC North is looking to shape up this season to be a fight.
It's funny how much time we spend debating Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. What's difficult?
Hall of Famer.
What's difficult is that none of it matters. None of it matters. This AFC North is so good that any of those 5 quarterbacks, if you want to throw Deshaun Watson's name in there for any reason, they've all got an actual team figured out and ready to go, ready to compete for a division, championship, ready to win the AFC North, compete in this AFC, which is loaded. Burrow, Rodgers, Jackson, like this is bad, for the Browns. Obviously, AFC North opponent loading up. But I think this makes you realize that as much time as we spend debating the Browns, it doesn't really matter, because you see that teams like this are going out there and getting all pro corners. Two teams in the division loading up on defense late in free agency. Training camps just under a month away across the National Football League. I mean, Browns are playing in the sand.
I mean, I was not as big on the Steelers when they signed Aaron Rodgers. People were assuming they were going to go back to the playoffs, and they might. They do that every single year. I mean, it's the same thing. They're going to have to win with their defense. You're going to have to be good in the trenches, and you're going to have to run the ball with Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. That remains the fact. So this move doesn't really do much for me for the Steelers, other than just maybe obviously reinforces their defense. But you're still going to have to score points, and I don't see the Steelers doing that at a premium. So again, I see a Mike Tomlin over 500 season. Congratulations. And Jalen Ramsey, absolutely hell of a player, Hall of Famer, you said it. But again, this isn't a move where I'm going to be circling it and saying this is when the Steelers really became a Super Bowl contender.
Super Bowl contender, probably not. If you get any sort of production out of Aaron Rodgers, though, I think that's where you got to turn your head. If it's coming, it's coming. You got to you've upgraded the offense. You got a Hall of Fame quarterback. It might not be the level he plays at anymore. You got the new running back that hopefully has better vision than Najee Harris, and you got a stacked defense. It's what the Steelers want. It's what they got. What I'm getting out of this, though, is whoever's starting for the Browns this year, week 6, when we go to Pittsburgh, it's about to be a bloodbath. That's going to be your last game of the season, buddy. If it's Kenny Pickett, it's going to get really ugly for you. I see a Jalen Ramsey pick 6. I see a lot going on. So get ready to learn. Whoever the second starter is, Dylan Gabriel might get his first crack at it in Miami week 7, because Pittsburgh is going to be ugly.
I guess, it does signal that the Steelers are going for it. If anything, you trade for a guy like Jalen Ramsey. I don't know, guys.
Yeah, the thing is, Jalen Ramsey, this stage of his career, not the same Jalen Ramsey that he once was. I think that's important to throw out there. I think this just, stings for us a little bit in the moment, because we're talking about the Steelers as this fringe NFL playoff team that could make noise in the AFC. And you look in our own backyard, and it's like, damn, we thought this was the timeline that the Browns were supposed to be on. We thought this was the timeline when Ben Roethlisberger, Andy Dalton, and Joe Flacco were on their way out of the AFC North, that the Browns would be capitalizing on all-pro, all-world players that are going to be future Hall of Famers like Rodgers, like Ramsey, to really try to capitalize. But this AFC North has just never gone away, and that's the one thing that remains true. And I think if it's one thing that you want to look at the Deshaun Watson trade as glass half full, even if Deshaun panned out, it still would have been a very incredible, difficult division to win because of how good the rest of the teams in this AFC North have been.
Steelers still need to get TJ Watt a new contract. I'm sure that'll happen, but it'd be nice to be sat out a couple games.
Not to advocate too much for them, but those corners with a good pass rush, though, they won't have to cover
good defense
for long.
That was the Browns' bread and butter 2023.
Yeah, and I'm saying they got the blueprint, but with better corners, quite frankly.
It's funny because the Browns defense should be good. Say what you want about the Browns. Their defense should be good. The Ravens defense should be good. And the Steelers defense will be good. And then you got the Bengals, who have the worst defense in the NFL.
If they're the regular season dart, it's going to come down to them in Baltimore. I love Lamar. I love what Baltimore's done this offseason. That's my guy. He's going to ball. But the Steelers, I think, to me, they're a better team than the Bengals. Really, if Aaron Rodgers just plays solid, he just has to not be a negative. The defense is that much better that I think the offense just has to be okay, and they'll be a better team than Cincinnati. So,
I fear when we do our Super Bowl predictions on the show, whenever that is, I might be picking the Baltimore Ravens. But we're a long ways away from that. We got to take a break. When we get back, it'll be our final break. Jake Paul officially ranked in the boxing world after another victory. We'll talk about that, what that means when we get back on the Big Factor.
ranked in the top 15?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Wrapping this thing up. I'm Ryan Tyler. He's Jack O'Rourke. He's Nick Padone. He's Rob Watson. We're talking about Jake Paul, who defeated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Unanimous decision. Unanimous decision. He is officially ranked in the top 15 in the boxing world. Nick, you've said this multiple times, and I do think it remains true, is the fact that Jake Paul is, I think you call him the greatest marketer of our generation. And I think that's actually pretty spot on.
Yeah, I really believe that. I will say this was a fight that, was kind of under the radar for some people. Cam and I stayed up and watched it. This to me was the truest boxing match that Jake Paul has had. He started out and he looked really dominant the first couple rounds. I was like, okay, this is going to be like how the rest of them are. It was a guy that is a little bit older. I thought he was going to get knocked out, but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had a good chin. And then in the middle to late rounds of the fight, he started fighting back and Jake was getting hit a little bit and then hitting him with some nice counters. It actually looked like, and it was a real fight. So I think he deserves, after this victory and unanimous decision, to be a ranked boxer, and it'll be fascinating to see what happens now, because now that he's ranked in the cruiserweight division, you would think that the days of fighting the washed up UFC guys and Mike Tyson are probably over, and you're probably fighting lesser known guys, which will be more difficult to market because they're going to be no names in the world of boxing. But now that he's ranked, his pipe dream that people will get mad at him for always saying that he wants to be a world champion and stuff, it is kind of in view now, because he's an actual ranked fighter in a commission that has a real belt, and one or two more fights against ranked opponents, and they'd probably let him have a title shot in the cruiserweight division.
And for
it's
Jake,
bizarre. This is bizarre.
I think it's a win for Jake, because regardless, he could always go back to doing the fights against the washed up ex whoever used to do whatever. There'll always be money there. He'll always be able to sell it. They got the fans. He'll be able to do that. Jake, at some point, getting to a real title fight, though, I think it'll always sell as him on this journey. Now, if he gets ranked and he drops the next fight, that kind of kills it early. But say he does get that next 1 to 2 victories, and then he goes into an actual title fight, the whole entire world will be watching without a doubt. So I don't know if he's got to worry too much about marketing the next 2. He's just got to get in position for that championship fight, which could be one of the most watched ones in history.
Well, a kid from Cleveland, right? That's what they say around these parts. All right,
that's why I feel like the hate is forced. He's from here, he's from Cleveland. I saw yesterday they were
I hate him.
They were Jack hates him. They were him and Logan were driving around LA in Browns gear yesterday. They truly are just 2 kids from here.
I will be if Jake Paul is in a WBC championship fight, I will be buying the pay-per-view.
I will be there no matter what.
I will be seated. I will be seated, bro.
Pull the Killian Hayes meme. All right, guys, we're out of time. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Shout out to Garageview. Shout out to Fairway Forward. I'm Ryan Tyler. He's Jack O'Rourke. He's Nick Padone. He's Rob Watson. Until next time, we'll see you on the Big Factor.